Welcome into the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 8, baby. Man, I'm your host, Jim Neander. Sorry about that. I'm pretty psyched, man. We had a great weekend of football, great Sunday. Got a fun game tonight, hopefully. And lots of points scored yesterday. Listen, it's the haves and the have-nots at this point. So many just like beastly games this year. If you go up against one of these buzzsaws, man, you are in tough shape. But yeah, I hope you all had a good one here. So welcome into the show. Welcome in. You know the deal. It's Monday morning. We're going to go through, about half of the games here, give you our review. We're also going to go through all of our best performers here. We're going to call it a segment called the Rock Stars and the Mock Stars. So if you had some of these rock stars, man, you were good to go. Hopefully you didn't have too many of these mock stars. And there were some bad performances, buddy. And we're going to get to all of those things today. And, tomorrow, Tuesday, the waiver wire show. As we get into each individual matchup here, we'll talk a little bit about maybe some waiver wire value. But tomorrow we'll have a focus on waiver wires. Today we're going to focus on, star performers here, rock stars and mock stars, and then get into some nice review action, some reaction and analysis to the games and the performances therein. All right, so rock stars, baby. We're going to start with quarterbacks here, and Patrick Mahomes will lead the way. 416 yards, 5 touchdowns, making it look easy. They didn't run the ball very much. They decided to just hand the ball to their rock star quarterback here and make it happen. Russell Wilson, 261 and 4 more touchdowns, continues to kill it. Aaron Rodgers, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns. Matt Stafford, 336 and 3 touchdowns with a pick. Phillip Rivers, hey, welcome to the list here, motherfucker. 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really nice game here against Detroit. And, I don't think a lot of people had him up on the top of the list for streamers. And he did look really, really good on the road here. Job well done, Mr. Rivers. Justin Herbert, listen, 278, 3 more touchdowns. Yeah, a couple of picks and a last-second loss, but the rookie continues to look great. And that loss came at the hands of our last rockstar quarterback, Drew Lock. 248 yards, 3 touchdowns, last-second drive, last couple-minute drive, last-second touchdown pass from the 1 to the rookie KJ Hamler. And great performance from Drew Lock. Great comeback. Nice win. Nice job, young man. Very, very, very nice there. All right, let's move over to running backs. We all know who the top rock star was. The man who killed it this weekend, Dalvin Cook. About 226 combined yards from scrimmage. 4 touchdowns. Almost 50 points. In some leagues, he was over 50 with bonuses. Hey, if you were involved with a Dalvin Cook game, you were on one side or the other, right? That's kind of what happened. Unless you had Patrick Mahomes. If you were in one of those epic battles where, you had Mahomes and they had Cook, maybe it worked out for you. I don't know. Alvin Kamara, number 2, continues to do it on the back of the receiving work. Only 67 yards on the ground, but 9 more receptions, 96 yards. He's, I think at this point on pace to, smash his own receptions record. And he may or may not be on pace for Christian McCaffrey's running back reception record. I'm not sure at this point, but another 9 is going to start putting him in that direction. Gio Bernard, another good game with Mixon out. 62 yards on the ground with a touchdown, but also added a touchdown through the air. 3 receptions, 16 yards. Nice job for Gio. DJ Dallas, listen, I hate to say I told you so, but I told a lot of people about this. I said, listen, if Chris Carson is out before the game, if they say he's out and Carlos Hyde is out, play DJ Dallas. Make that pivot. Get him in over, the San Francisco running backs, or some of the other options that you have, like Wayne Gallman tonight, something like that. And it worked out there. He only had 41 yards on the ground, but scored a touchdown on the ground. Another 5 receptions, 17 yards, and a touchdown through the air. Big game. Sits at the number 4 running back at the moment. Another pass catching running back here, Nyheim Hines. Really nice game. 41 yards, a touchdown, 5 grabs, 17 yards. Or excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry there. I got the wrong line item. Nyheim Hines, 8 yards rushing. Not much work there, but 3 catches, 54 yards. 2 really, really nice touchdown receptions with 1 great floor routine afterwards. But nice job there for Nyheim Hines. Both those passes looked almost identical. Up the right side of the sideline there, right towards the end zone there, about midway through the end zone. And the next one here is going to be another Indianapolis Colt, not the one you were hoping for. Jordan Wilkins, 89 yards rushing with a touchdown. Another reception for 24 yards, puts him over 20 points. And the last one we're going to talk about here is Zach Moss from the Buffalo Bills. 81 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns on the ground, got them both. And that gave him the points that he needed. Really nice game for Zach Moss. All right, let's move it on here. Let's talk about wide receiver rock stars. We all know who the number 1 is here again, DK Metcalf. And, between Metcalf and Lockett, it's like, shit, you should have drafted them both. You just play them both every week and, you'll get the combined points. Even if one of them's bad, the other one scores 40-plus points. You're going to be pretty much okay with that. But 12 catches, 161 and 2 touchdowns. Monster game for Metcalf. I don't know how you even try to cover this guy with one person. Devontae Adams, 7 receptions, 53 yards, 3 touchdowns. Another 3-pack for Devontae, looking great. Not a huge game, reception and yardage wise, but doesn't matter, baby. The touchdowns are there. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods. Let's see, he had a rushing touchdown again. So you love to get that little extra work there, the rushing work. 7 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Corey Davis, 8 receptions, $128 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 4 receptions, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Brandon Ayuk, 8 for 91 and a touchdown. Mecole Hardman, 7 for 96 and a touchdown. Where are we going to cut this off here? I don't know. Cooper Kupp, 11 for 110. Keenan Allen, 9 for 67 and a touchdown. Jeez, Curtis Samuel, we talked about him already. 2 touchdowns. Mike Williams, 5 for 99 and a touchdown. Man, big games for some of these wide receivers. Big games. Quarterbacks and receivers, it's back to one of those years. We had like a running back year last year, kind of a quarterback and receiver year this year. All right. Tight end rock stars here. Tight end rock stars. Travis Kelce, big shock. You could just put all the Kansas City players and any pass catchers for Kansas City at the top of these lists here. 8 for 109 and a touchdown. Jared Cook, 5 for 51 and a touchdown. Eric Ebron, 4 for 48 and a touchdown. T.J. Hawkinson, very heavily targeted, 7 for 65. Robert Tonyan, 5 for 79. Noah Fant, 7 for 47, and he had to watch Albert O get the 1 reception for 1 touchdown. He gets that catch. He's the number 2 tight end on the week. But ifs and shoulda, woulda, couldas, whatever. Good game, Noah Fant. All right. Unfortunately, with every rock star, there have to be some mock stars. And if you started any of these guys, you really paid for it dearly. Jimmy Garoppolo, I know he got injured, but he was in there for a long time before he got injured. 84 yards, could not get anything going. It was just really bad. Tua Tagovailoa, hey, got a win, got his first touchdown. All those things are good, but under 100 yards passing, no rushing work. The 1 touchdown, not going to do it. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Darnold, you're hoping maybe some garbage time. He might pull something out. You figure you're going to be behind, but wasn't to be. Baker Mayfield, terrible weather conditions, but is what it is. Carson Wentz, this one was surprising against, bad Dallas D. Only 123 yards passing with a couple of touchdowns, but a couple of interceptions. So not the worst game ever. Kirk Cousins, pretty tough game there, right? 160 yards and a touchdown. So, Josh Allen, we're going to cut it off at Josh Allen. Pretty bad game there. And I'm going to cut it off there because he's had a few of them in a row. And, you got to start being worried about that shit, right? A couple games, all right. Bad matchups, but you can only, make so many excuses for bad performances. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about some running back mock stars here. Who did not do it for you at running back? Tevin Coleman. If you decide to play Tevin Coleman back off IR, 20 yards, knocked out of the game with injury, not a good call. Josh Kelly, you know, Justin Jackson was the man in this game. We'll get to that when we do the game breakdown. But 32 yards rushing for Joshua Kelly, only one reception for -7 yards. No bueno for Josh Kelly there. Who else might you have played on this list down here at the bottom? Jonathan Taylor. Brutal, brutal, brutal. You see all those points go to the running backs. None of them named Jonathan Taylor. 22 rushing yards, 2 catches, 9 yards. That one. That's kind of mind-boggling. All Lions running backs, but DeAndre Swift, I thought he'd have a nice workload this week. He had 1 fucking rushing yard, 3 receptions for 22 yards. Yeah. Way to make me look like an asshole. LaMichael Pt1, if you're hoping Adam Gase might get his head out of his ass and give Pt1 more touches or more receptions, he did not. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, really, really bad game. Lev Bell also. Of course, Edwards-Helaire is the guy you drafted high, though. We'll get into the Rams' backfield here, but Darrell Henderson left with an injury, and they're all right here in the middle of these points scored. Zeke Elliott, brutal with Ben DiNucci behind the center there. You really were not happy with Zeke this week, and I said he was going to have a really hard time staying within the top 12 at all. All right, let's move it on to wide receivers here. Keep it rolling here. Wide receivers. Kenny Golladay. Let's start with the goose eggs, man. Kenny G, I know he left it around around halftime with an injury, but either way, had 4 targets in the first half. Didn't catch any of them, 0 yards. Whether or not he left at the half, 0 yards anyway. He could have had 10 points in the first half, right? 12 points, but he had none. Nelson Aguilar, everyone, it was, again, a really ugly game. They ran Jacobs, like 30 plus times and didn't throw the ball that much. But even still, you're hoping to get something out of Aguilar to get the goose egg. Definitely no bueno. Amari Cooper, 1 catch for 5 yards. I got to say, thank you, Amari Cooper. I am still in one of my games because of you. I still will probably lose. He has a defensive player, and he's down just under 5 points. And it's a great, great defensive player. But, there's a chance. And it's because of you, Amari Cooper. Thank you very much. Deontay Johnson, knocked out of the game again. Comes back in. 1 catch for 6 yards. Fucking A. And let's see, who else? Who else dogged you? Rashard Higgins. I was high on Rashard Higgins not only for the week, but also for the rest of the season. Still high on him rest of the season. It was a pretty, again, brutally tough, weather game for Baker Mayfield. And I wouldn't read too much into it, but if you played Higgins, it sucked. T.Y. Hilton sucked. John Brown sucked. Jeez, A.J. Green was bad. Cole Beasley, all these guys you were hoping for something out of. Both Vikings. Again, you got Dalvin Cook scored all the touchdowns, got all the yards. Both Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson were pretty freaking bad. Calvin Ridley obviously got knocked out with the injury, but he was pretty bad. We're going to end it here with this triplet because you probably played all these guys. Devontae Parker, yeah, he scored, but that was it. So in standard, maybe you were okay. Same with Hollywood Brown. If you were standard because he got the touchdown, maybe you were okay. But identical stat lines, 1 grab, 3 yards, and a touchdown for both of those guys. And then Tyler Lockett. I mean, hey, it wasn't the most atrocious game, but it's just, you get the highs, you get the lows, you get the Metcalf games, you get the Lockett games, and that's kind of tough. So, yep. All right, let's go to tight ends. We'll finish this up, and we'll get into our reviews here. Who might have really hurt you here on the tight ends? Were there any bad goose eggs? I don't see any really bad goose eggs here. Greg Olsen. Yeah, you might have played Greg Olsen. I mean, I would have told you that he was an okay play. And he goosed. No bueno. Mike Gesicki. This one I was on, and that sucks, man. 1 catch for 8 yards. I know they didn't throw the ball a lot, but 1 catch for 8 yards. Dallas Goedert in his return, 1 catch for 15 yards. Irv Smith, 1 for 16. I thought he was in line for a little bit more work in this game. Tyler Higbee, 2 for 14. Harrison Bryant, very popular weekly pickup here with Austin Hooper out. You think bad weather, maybe they dump it off, down the middle a little bit more. But no. And let's finish it up here with a couple of high name guys. Jonnu Smith, 2 for 29. Mark Andrews, 3 for 32. Oh, man, Andrews owners got to not be happy. And I'll throw in Darren Waller. That's not a bad game. I mean, 5 for 28. It's almost 8 points. He's the tight end 14 right now, but listen, outscored by Ross Dwelly, both Colts tight ends, Gerald Everett. So, pretty bad week for Darren Waller if you're asking me. All right. Now, those are the rock stars and the mock stars for the week. We'll be doing that every Monday, giving you the top performers, giving you the dogs, letting you know, who was an asset to your lineup and who really fucked your lineup. All right. We're going to bang out 6 games here today and then 7 tomorrow with our waiver wire edition show. So where are we going to start? We're going to start in Buffalo, baby. You see the jersey behind me. Buffalo got the big win at home, 24-21 over the defending perennial decade, millennial division winner New England Patriots, who dropped to 2-5. Fucking Patriots were driving, man. I thought they were going to go in and win the game. Cam fumbles, game over. Buffalo takes home the win and moves into dominating, position in the division. They're 6-2. I think Miami's 4-3, so they're playing well. But I think Buffalo's a better team than Miami. They got Tua in now. I think they're going to be in line for some more losses, and I think we're in line for a big division win, baby. Let's talk about some fantasy football, though. All right, so most of your Patriots were pretty bad, as I said they were going to be. Cam Newton, $174 through the air, no touchdowns, 54 on the ground with a touchdown. So the game was viable, right? As a quarterback for Cam Newton, it wasn't good, but it didn't kill you. Now, who did I say was the only New England Patriot I probably wanted to play in this game? It was Damian Harris. And 16 carries, 102 yards, and a touchdown. He looked really good again, and they got to start getting him the ball more. He needs to be a bigger part of this offense. Get him out there in passing downs also. Don't just get Burkhead and James White out there, because then they know you're going to throw the ball. I'm telling Bill Belichick how to coach. I know, fuck you, right? But still, I'm sorry. He looks good. Maybe he's not the best pass catching back, but get him out there a little bit, right? He had 16 carries compared to 6 for Burkhead, so he was definitely the clear runner here and should continue to be going forward. On the outside, we knew Edelman was gone, as well as N'Keal Harry. So you had Jacoby Myers leading the way in targets with 10 targets, caught 6 balls, 58 yards. I don't think he's a streamer or a waiver wire pickup unless we know Edelman and Harry are going to miss more games, which Edelman very possibly might. I'm not sure if we got that exact designation yet, but I think Harry will be back next week. So we'll see. 4 targets for Damiere Byrd, 4 targets for James White. Not much else to talk about there. Buffalo, Josh Allen looks pretty bad again. Has a rushing touchdown, so that, again, kind of saved the viability of his game, as it were. But 154 yards passing with a pick, 23 yards rushing and a touchdown. Not looking good for Josh Allen. Squeaked this win out, but he's got to turn it around. On the ground, the Bills look much better than they have all year long. So you had equal carries, 14 carries each for Singletary and Moss. Both ran for almost the same yardage, 86 for Singletary, 81 for Moss. Now, the differences here were the touchdowns. You had the high-value rushes for Zach Moss. He got 2 touchdowns inside the 10-yard line, and none of that shit for Devin Singletary. And, when we were talking about Zach Moss in preseason and leading up to the draft, that was the issue, right? It was going to be, what's the timeshare? But we know that Josh Allen will take away some rushing work and goal line work, and Zach Moss will get some goal line work. And that was really more about taking away from Devin Singletary's value than saying what value, Zach Moss had. Now, going forward, I don't know that I would play Zach Moss next week just because it's still a split. You can't bank on the touchdowns if you're only getting those touches and you're not involved in the passing game at all. So, but Zach Moss is a guy that, is probably already rostered in almost every league, but he definitely needs to be. Not a great game passing for the Bills, but Stephon Diggs still got what he needed to. 9 targets, 6 for 92. Cole Beasley and John Brown were both very bad in this game. Sucks, but Josh Allen's got to get this thing moving in the right direction here. Not looking good right now. All right, big upset here. Cincinnati. Cincinnati hosted the Tennessee Titans and took care of business 31-20. Great game for Joe Burrow for Cincinnati overall. They came out strong. They were up 17-7 at the half and, held off a little bit of a Titans, kind of a run there near the end, right? Titans were trying to make a comeback and, thankfully the Bengals, kind of matched them with their touchdowns late in the game. So let's get into the box score here. Sorry, I'm lost here. And ESPN keeps fucking bouncing my thing around with the bazillions of ads and videos and shit. All right, sorry. Tennessee, not a great game here all around, but you got the points you needed to if you started your Titans. 233 yards for Ryan Tannehill with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So not a bad game, not a great game, but it's all good. Derrick Henry, 18 carries. 112 yards with a touchdown. That's a light workload for Derrick Henry, honestly. He only was targeted once. He didn't catch it, so that's always the issue here. You had a pretty good game for Derrick Henry. 112 yards and a touchdown is a really good game for an NFL running back. But at the end of the day, that's 17 points in fantasy in a PPR league. That's not exceptional by any means, right? It's just not. Not bad. It's just not very good, right? Let's look at kind of where he is at the moment for running backs. We got running backs. Let's get back here. He has him at what? Number 9 with his 17 points. Okay. I mean, again, it's not bad. It's just like you got guys like Zach Moss, 81 yards with 2 touchdowns. Nyheim Hines, 2 receiving touchdowns. So either way, maybe I'm making too much out of it, but I feel like it wasn't a great game for Derrick Henry. Number 9, though. And then on the outside, Corey Davis was the big winner here. I thought it was going to be a Jonnu Smith week. It's not. It's Corey Davis season, baby. 10 targets, 8 receptions, 128 yards, and a touchdown. Really nice game for Corey Davis, and he is hard to deny as someone that should be in your lineup as a flex. It's just that we all know that impending feeling of doom when you put Corey Davis in your lineup, and then you get 2 points. So, I think we all know that feeling, and no one likes that. So, Corey Davis is going to be a dangerous play, but right now he looks to be dependable. A.J. Brown, thankfully got in the end zone, 7 targets, caught the ball 4 times, 24 yards, with a touchdown, and that touchdown, kind of saved his game. And as I said, Jonnu Smith, sucked. Caught both his targets, 29 yards, no bueno there. Let's go over to Cincinnati here. Joe Burrow, 250-2. Nice game for the rookie. No interceptions in a game where they were at home and they led most of the way. Really good game for these Cincinnati Bengals here. Now, on the ground, Gio Bernard is probably the last game without Joe Mixon. And it was a nice game for Gio Bernard. He almost had a beast game. They gave 1 touchdown to Samaje Perine there. They gave Perine 10 carries, actually, for whatever reason. But he did get a touchdown. But Gio Bernard, 62 yards and a touchdown on the ground, also added another touchdown through the air. 3 grabs, 16 yards and a touchdown. So, really nice game for Gio Bernard. Continues to, just reward people that are playing him in Mixon's absence, and that's when he's valuable. Samaje Perine is not valuable. All right, moving on to the outside here. Pretty much looks like, how I've been saying it does the last few weeks, right? I've been saying it's Higgins, Boyd, Green. That's the way it was in this game, except you had an Auden Tate insurgence here. But 9 targets for Higgins, 7 for Boyd, 7 for Tate, 5 for Green. All right? Higgins, 6 for 78. Boyd, 6 for 67 with a touchdown, so outscored Higgins with that touchdown. Then A.J. Green, kind of disappointing, 2 grabs for 19 yards on those 5 targets. And as I mentioned, Auden Tate, listen, he caught all 7 of his targets for 65 yards. So, I still think it's Higgins, Boyd, Green, and Auden Tate is not on my radar right now. He's flashed in the past, and it just was not to be sustained. And I don't know that I'm ready to, really even consider it an option at this point. Just one of those games, right, where those things happen. All right, here. All right, this one will be quick too. So Cleveland, the Browns hosted the Raiders. The 5-2 Browns hosted the 3-3 Raiders. Really hoping to get a win here at home. Keep up, in the division, a very tough division, and they just couldn't get anything going in a very windy, game that had a little bit of rain. Just was an ugly game. 16-6, the Vegas Raiders take this one. Derek Carr, very quiet. They ran the ball all game. They ran, run. Derek Carr, 112 and a touchdown. Managed the game just fine. Josh Jacobs, 31 carries, 128 yards. That's nice. He only had 1 target. I mean, that sucks. But, there's not that many running backs that can even ever get close to 30 carries in a game for whatever reason. And you're happy to see that, Problem is, kind of like Derrick Henry, who at least he got in the end zone, Josh Jacobs had a bad game for fantasy. 12.8 points did not do it for you. He did not. It didn't kill you. He wasn't on the mock stars list, but it didn't help you, right? You need some more. If you're only going to have rushes, you got to have a touchdown, or you got to have some receptions. So, shit. But at least Jacobs looked good in this game. As good as he could. Ran the ball pretty well. Let's go to the outside here. Not much going here. Hunter Renfrow caught a touchdown, 4 targets. Caught all of them for 26 yards and a touchdown, and he was one of only 2 wide receivers that were targeted even 4 times. The other was Henry Ruggs, who only caught 2 passes for 8 yards. So, as I mentioned earlier, Nelson Aguilar, 2 targets, 0 catches, 0 yards, gave you the goose egg. And Darren Waller, I also mentioned, led the team in targets, not surprisingly, with 6 targets, caught 5 balls for 28 yards. Again, it wasn't like awful, but you're looking for more for Darren Waller for sure. Let's go to the other side here. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, $122. No picks, no TDs, no picks. Not much going on there. 29 yards on the ground. Kareem Hunt, quieter than I expected him to be. 14 carries for 66 yards. I thought they'd be more in line with what Vegas did, right? 31 carries for Jacobs. I thought it would easily be a 20 carry game for Kareem Hunt, but it was only 14 for 66, and then he only had 2 receptions for 7 yards. So disappointing game for Kareem Hunt without a doubt. And then Jarvis Landry was by far, not even close, by far the target leader. He had 11 targets. The next 4 guys had a combined 12 targets, 3 each. So it was definitely a Landry targeting kind of a game. Almost had a nice touchdown. If he has that touchdown, we're talking about this as a very good game, and we're talking about Jarvis Landry as someone you should probably start next week. As it is, 4 receptions on 11 targets, 52 yards. Make of that what you will. Rashard Higgins, 1 reception, 14 yards, 3 targets. I still think it'll be different with a different offensive outlook. I think the weather really did affect Baker Mayfield and this game. And then the tight end, Harrison Bryant, caught all 3 of his targets for 25 yards. Not what you were hoping for. Just offensively, nothing got going in this game. Njoku also had 3 targets, but only caught 1 for 19. So if anything, any of them just serve as a little bit of a dampener to Austin Hooper if you think they might stay involved. But, if Hooper's back next week, they're not even playable. All right, let's keep her going. We're going to go to the Motor City here. Detroit Lions hosted the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts came in and shellacked the home team Lions 41-21. A couple of big quarters here, 2 scoreless quarters, and then looks like 2-3 touchdown quarters, or maybe a couple field goals. I don't even know, but put up a lot of points here, Indianapolis, in Detroit. I would have thought Detroit would have put up a better game. They're 0-3 at home. And Matt Patricia's just bad in my opinion. Again, I know that I do a lot of telling professional coaches that make millions of dollars how to coach. Thus is the nature of being an asshole and an analyst of some sorts, of any sorts. Whatever you want to call me, an amateur analyst. All right, so Indianapolis, 41 points. How'd they get there? Phillip Rivers, again, great game. I mentioned it. 262 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Looked great. Looked great finding his running backs out of the backfield, finding everybody. Now on the ground, again, Jonathan Taylor, huge bust. Big bust in this game. 11 carries, 22 yards, looked like shit. Wasn't really involved that much. Had 3 targets, caught 2 balls for 9 yards. And had to watch the other running backs have good games. You had Jordan Wilkins with 20 carries, 89 yards and a touchdown. They were riding the hot hand. He was running much better than Taylor was. So why wouldn't you have him out there? Caught his only target for 24 yards. He'll be interesting to talk about tomorrow on the Waiver Wire show. I don't know. I think they're going to have to get Jonathan Taylor right next week, and I think that might happen. Trey Burton ran in another touchdown, so that's another fuck you to Jonathan Taylor. It's like you give this guy another 1 yard or 2 yard touchdown, you know, when those could be Taylor carries. So not looking good for your Taylor owners here. Let's look to the outside. So again, I mentioned Nyheim Hines. You know, not only was the guy who caught 2 touchdowns, he was the yardage leader for the team. He had 5 targets, caught 354, 2 touchdowns. That's an anomaly. I don't think you can play Nyheim Hines, next week, assuming that any of this shit is going to happen the way it happened this week. So, yeah. Zach Pascal, the highest target player in the game for Indy with 6 targets, only caught 3 for 44. Marcus Johnson caught 2 of 4 for 39. And then T.Y. Hilton, again, I mentioned on the Dogs, he was a mutt, man. 2 targets, 2 receptions, 9 yards. I think he left with an injury possibly, as always. I don't fucking know. T.Y. Hilton's killing you, though. And then tight ends. There was a big spread for the tight ends. Mo Alley Cox got back in the game, caught 3 passes on 4 targets for 37 yards. But Jack Doyle got the touchdown. 2 receptions, 18 yards, and a touchdown. The way it's going with the tight ends here, they're all involved. I can't play any of them. But we'll talk about that on the preview show, of course. But I can't play any of those dudes right now, just the way it's going there. All right, Detroit. It was kind of ugly here. They were just behind. Their defense couldn't stop Indianapolis at all. Stafford went for 336 and 3 with an interception. So if you played Stafford, it was a better game than you expected. He was not on my list of guys I wanted to stream with how good Indy tends to be, against receivers this year, against subpar competition, but some would argue that's what Detroit is. Rushing the ball, it was a fucking nightmare for Detroit. Their leading rusher on the game was Jamal Agnew with 1 carry for 11 yards. Their second leading was Stafford with 1 carry for 10 yards. Let's talk about the actual people that you thought were going to run the ball. Adrian Peterson ran the ball 5 times for 7 yards. DeAndre Swift, 6 carries for 1 measly fucking yard. Now, at least DeAndre Swift caught 3 of his 4 targets for 22 yards. At least to give you some positive points. 5, some food to eat. 5 point something points. But god damn, man, that was fucking ugly. On the outside here, kind of a surprising game. As I mentioned, Galladay gave you the goose egg, left in the first half. Now, you had Marvin Hall was the big yardage guy. He had 7 targets, caught 4 of them for 113 yards. Nice game, but Marvin Jones Jr. got into the end zone twice, caught 3 of his 7 targets for 39 yards, but the 2 touchdowns. And he does this, at least twice a year where he has 2 or 3 touchdowns. And, if Galladay's out next week, people are going to play Marvin Jones, and more than likely, he's not going to do anything, right? So if you've been paying attention the last few years, just understand. That's been the pattern. He could have a monster game, for sure. But that's just been the way it goes lately when Jones gets these opportunities. You're like, oh, yeah, finally get to play Marvin Jones, yeah. And then it doesn't happen, so, oh well. T.J. Hawkinson. Let's talk about T.J. Hawkinson. 10 targets, by far the target leader on the team. Caught 7 balls for 65 yards. I didn't expect him to have a very good game this week. And, good for him, man. He's very involved in this offense. If Galladay is out, look for him to continue to be very involved. He might be very involved anyway, no matter who's in that lineup. But if Galladay is out, I definitely think he's going to continue to be, heavily involved here. All right. This game was fun. Surprising, but fun. Vikings and the Packers. The Pack go down at home to divisional rivals Minnesota. They were opposite records coming in. Minnesota was 1-5. Green Bay was 5-1. Running away in the division almost. Not really with Chicago playing good, but And then Green Bay goes down. Just couldn't stop Dalvin Cook, and that was the name of the game. So Kirk Cousins. My bad, everybody. I thought Cousins would be a good play here. I thought Green Bay would push them to have to score. And they did kind of have to score. Like Aaron Rodgers scored first, and Minnesota was like, listen, we're not going to panic. We're going to run the ball, down your fucking throat all day. So Cousins went for $160 and a touchdown on 14 attempts. They score 4 touchdowns as a team, and he throws the ball 14 times. Wow. 30 carries for Dalvin Cook, 163 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 receptions on 3 targets, 63 more yards and a touchdown. So 226 yards, 4 touchdowns. Fucking Dalvin Cook doing Dalvin Cook things. Alexander Madison, didn't sniff the field really very much. And obviously, he threw for, do the math, right? 14 attempts, 11 completions, 160 yards, and a touchdown. Well, 2 for 63 and a touchdown for Dalvin Cook does not leave a lot for everybody else, does it? That's 9 catches under 100 yards and no touchdowns for everyone else to share. Thielen 3 for 27, Jefferson 3 for 26, Irv Smith nothing, 1 for 16, Kyle Rudolph 1 for 12. So not much else to say than it was a Dalvin Cook game. He took everybody's points. He took them all. Everyone's fucking points. Greedy fucker. Took them all. So, hopefully you had them. Shit, I didn't have them anywhere. I have them in no teams. I had them in no DFS. Nothing. Brr. All right. Let's talk about the Pack. I mean, the fact is you got what you needed out of your Packers in a loss for fantasy. Big win for fantasy, right? Aaron Rodgers, 291 and 3. No interceptions. You're perfectly fucking happy with that. Would have loved to have got that last one though, man. I know you got the fumble too. Would have helped if you didn't have that. But you got that last TD. Aaron Rodgers owners would have been fucking floating going into those 1 o'clock games, man. But as it was, 291 and 3, very nice. Jamal Williams, another very good game in replacement of Aaron Jones. 16 for 75, caught 6 more passes for 27 yards. And while it's not efficient by any means, and he didn't score any touchdowns, I mean, it was a good day when you have, what was it? What did I say? 6 receptions? So where did he wind up on the day? Running back 8. So again, and that was my point. He didn't score any touchdowns, didn't look as good as Derrick Henry did, but, the 6 receptions put him above Derrick Henry, for the week. So, what are you going to do? But very good game for Jamal Williams. However, when Aaron Jones comes out, he should get his full complement of work back and just sending Jamal Williams back down to the bench. A.J. Dillon, I thought he would get a good amount more work in this game. He did not. 5 carries, 21 yards, caught his only target for 16. This was the chance. This was like the chance for him to maybe get some work, and now I think it's gone. So I think A.J. Dillon is instantly droppable as long as Aaron Jones comes back. All right, back out to the wide receivers here. Devontae Adams, shocking target leader, 12 targets, 7 for 53 and 3 touchdowns, another beast game. Usually they're much more efficient together, but three touchdowns. I mean, what else you want me to say? And then no other wide receiver had more than 3 targets. You had Equanimous St. Brown with 3 targets, caught 1 for 12. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, caught his only target for 19 yards. Malik Taylor caught his only target for 26 yards. I mean, he doesn't have wide receivers they can trust. So, yeah, you're hearing rumors about the Packers looking to add a wide receiver before the trade deadline, and they should. At least one, right? There's teams out there that suck that you can probably get wide receivers from. People are talking about the Texans. That's great. And look at the freaking Bengals, right? They've got wide receivers to spare. Get him Auden Tate. That's fine, but better yet, get him A.J. Green for a one-year lease. Let A.J. Green see what the playoffs are like. Let him sniff. Let him smell that pure playoff air. Has he ever been there? Probably with Dalton, I'm sure, early in his career. But shit, he'll have a real chance. And, he'll be playing with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So that would be nice for A.J. Green, but we'll see what happens before the trade deadline. Either way, you got what you needed out of your Packers. If you played Robert Tonyan, which I thought was a bad play because it's really been Devontae Adams now that he's been back. But Tonyan, 7 targets, caught 5 for 79. And guess what? All those wide receiver targets that weren't there, they went to tight ends because you had Jay Sternberger also with 4 targets, caught 3 for 46. That's 11 tight end, targets here at least. I don't know if Malik Taylor's a tight end. Probably not. 11 tight end targets. That looks good for Robert Tonyan as long as he's the number 2 to Adams. We'll see what happens. Lazard will probably not be back next week. So I expect that to be, still pretty safe for Mr. Tonyan. All right, let's rock out our last game of the episode here. Before we let you go, we'll knock out the rest tomorrow. I hope to love you tomorrow. If Levante David scores less than 4.74 points, I'm going to really fucking love you tomorrow. Come on, let's go. I don't know how that happens. Just don't make tackles. All right, we need you to just not have tackles, Levante David. I know it's hard for you to do. That's your thing. All right. Jets. Jets went to Kansas City to do what they do, right? They're 0-8. KC 7-1. We saw a beating coming. It wasn't actually that bad. It was 21-9 at the half, which stopped KC from really, running the ball heavily, I think, in the second half. But didn't stop the Jets from just not trying to score. Sam Darnold, 133 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He's as unplayable as a quarterback gets, quite frankly. There is no matchup where he'd be good except if he was playing the Jets. Like being John Malkovich. This is like being Sam Darnold, and he could fucking play Sam Darnold in the Jets every week. Maybe you could play him against himself. I don't know, but I digress. Look at this shit on the ground here. I mean, I know they were behind, so we knew there weren't going to be that many rushing attempts, but damn, 10 for Gore, 8 for Michael Pt1, 3 for Ty Johnson. I don't like that. At 18, it should have been like 12 for Pt1, 6 for Gore. What are you doing? You got to see what you got. As it were, Pt1 did get 2 targets, caught them both for 6 yards. I mean, Michael Pt1, while I want him to be playable, and it's so thin right now, we'll talk about it in the preview show, but I don't know. Let's go to the outside here. Well, Braxton Berrios was the target monster here with 11 targets. He caught 8 balls for 34 yards. 4.3 yards a catch. I don't even know how you do that. Holy shit, it seems impossible. But fuck, man. I don't know why they're not throwing Denzel Mims more. Mims was targeted 3 times. That's Adam Gase's Dims, not Mims. 3 targets, 2 catches, 42 yards. I don't know what's going on there. Jeff Smith got 8 targets, 3 catches for 29 yards. How much of it is scheme? How much of it is Sam Darnold? I don't know. We won't know until we get these guys separated, will we? Let's talk about KC, where you want to say he could have played everybody, but the running backs sucked. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, top QB on the week. Woo! No, I'm kidding. Great game for Mahomes. He just makes it look fucking effortless. Those throws to Tyreek Hill is just like a flick of the wrist. I know it's cliche, but really it's a flick of the wrist. He's just so good. 144.4 quarterback rating. 416-5. Amazing game. Okay. Let's talk about these running backs. The problem was the lack of work. You had 6 carries each for Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell. But then you also had 3 for Darrell Williams. You had 4 for Darwin Thompson. So just wasn't any work Lev Bell did get some through the air, so that kind of elevated him a little bit. So let's talk about their finishes here. Lev Bell, 6 carries for 7 yards. That's not good. That's 0.7 points. 3 receptions on 3 targets for 31. So, he was under 7 points. Not very good. And then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire with 3 catches, also on 3 targets for only 10 yards. That's one. So he's got 6.1 points. I mean, that's brutal. Brutal. So let's just go to the outside here. Wide receivers. Mecole Hardman, the target leader in this game. 9 targets. Well, for wide receivers, 9 targets. 7 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Big game, Mecole Hardman. Tyreek Hill, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's the only receiver, wide receiver 1, that you're pretty much perfectly happy with 6 targets. It's crazy, but you're fine with it. Demarcus Robinson caught 4 or 5 targets for 63 yards and a touchdown. It can't be this good every week. It's the Jets, but damn, man, you could have just stacked your DFS with Chiefs. Would have liked to see what that looked like, because Travis Kelce, 12 targets, caught 8 balls, 109 yards and a touchdown. He looked like Travis Kelce, like the number 1 damn tight end. And now with Kittle, nursing another injury here, the people that said Kittle, was the number 1 over Kelce are looking very, very, very wrong right now. And I see what they were saying. Kittle's fantastic. This is not his fault. Injuries happen. Garoppolo's been bad and injured. But the reality is, Travis Kelce is the badass motherfucker in charge, right? So, listen, that's going to do it here. We're going to let you rock here. We're almost at 50 minutes, so we're going to be able to get those 7 games in tomorrow. Believe it. We'll definitely get them in. We'll talk about waiver wire. We'll review Monday Night Football as well. So, tonight, you already know who you're playing, right? For the Giants, I think you can play Wayne Gallman, and you probably should if he's going to get the touches with Devontae Freeman out. I'm not expecting big things from him, but I'm expecting volume, right? I don't want to play anybody else on New York. There's going to be passes. There might be a touchdown, but I'm too stressed out about the Tampa defense just locking it down to really play a lot of Giants tonight. And then for Tampa, Brady should be out there. I think Ronald Jones and Fournette were both absolutely guys that were playable. And then, Mike Evans with Godwin out before Antonio Brown gets there, sure. I think you play Mike Evans. I think you play Rob Gronkowski. And everybody's going to play Scotty Miller. I see what you're saying, but I'm not going to go ahead and bet on it this week. I'm just not. So, but you've already made your decisions. It's Monday already. They're in your fucking lineup or they're not, right? So, oh well, Sarah. All right, that's going to do it for the GOAT. Again, that's Jim Neander. Find us on Twitter at Jim Neander, at GOATFF Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Please, we always appreciate it. Go ahead and like and share the videos. Help get the word out. If the GOAT helps you set your lineup and makes the right decisions, you kind of owe it to the GOAT to share it out there, don't you? If I helped you out, right? I help you out, you help me out. That's the way it should go, the lay of the land. All right. So have a great Monday, everybody. Enjoy the game tonight. I hope you get your points. I hope you got your wins already locked up, quite frankly. But if they're not, like me, you need the odds to be in your favor, just like Donald Sutherland says, right? May the odds be forever in your favor. That's not a Donald Sutherland accent. That's fucking terrible. But either way, that's Hunger Games. So, all right, adios, y'all. Have a nice Monday. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.